Hi students, welcome to another session. So far we are dealing with unit 3, that is basis of human behavior, and we are dealing in the two parts, that is biological and cultural, and we are discussing the basic biological understanding of human behavior. That is, the base of human behavior is dependent on brain and spinal cord, and basically brain and spinal cord are connected with neurons, and the base unit of neurons is discussed earlier in the session, that is structure and functions of neurons. So, and we have seen the basics of nervous system, that is how it is divided, like central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and then somatic and autonomic, sympathetic and parasympathetic, and endocrine system. Endocrine system is chemical based, and nervous system related to central nervous system, and peripheral nervous system are related to the regular electrical impulse communication. So, so in detail we are discussing about these systems, the somatic autonomic nervous systems. So far we have seen them, and then coming to the central nervous system, we are dealing with the brain, the structure of brain. It is really important as we are very much connected to the brain itself. So it is the basis of the human behavior. Particularly, this is the main organ related to human behavior. So far we discussed the main parts of the brain, that is cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata, and what are the other parts there. And today we will, the brain is also divided into three parts, and one such thing we are dealing with is forebrain. Forebrain is further divided into four parts. In this session, we will see in detail about that forebrain. So, the title of the session goes here, that is, as we are dealing with central nervous system, and particularly this session is a continuation of earlier session. So, as the forebrain, yesterday as discussed, we will see what is in forebrain. So we will discuss four major parts of the forebrain, that is hypothalamus, thalamus, limbic system, and cerebrum. So these are the major parts in forebrain. So the area is connected here. The major parts, thalamus, limbic system is every connected. That is, if you see the white matter, so this one, and this area. So these areas collectively called limbic system. This is thalamus and cerebrum. Cerebrum is the whole area. The other white matter area is the cerebrum. So the hypothalamus is one of the smallest structures in the brain. If you see this area, the little blue area here, but plays a vital role in our behavior. So of course, every part in the brain has its own function, and it is collectively connected to each other part of the brain and body. It regulates physiological process involved in emotional and motivational behavior, such as eating, drinking, sleeping, temperature regulation, and sexual arousal. It also regulates and controls the internal environment of the body. Example, heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, and regulates the secretion of hormones from various endocrine glands. So even though hypothalamus, there is a particular part, pituitary gland and pineal gland will be part of this system. We will see them in detail in the next sessions. But so far, this the whole area is combinedly termed as hypothalamus. The below one is pituitary gland, which we will be learning in endocrine system. Okay, but what is the main function? If you see the functions said here: eating, drinking, heartbeat, blood pressure, temperature, sleeping. So what is not important? These are the crucial functions for the balance of human being, right? So eating for the conversion of energy, drinking, these are all the unconscious things. Like as discussed in the earlier session, autonomic nervous system, which balances, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic functions, are most related to the hypothalamus. So where are these connected? These are connected by the functions. These reactions are the processes, biological processes, the physiological processes are connected by this small part in the brain. See how surprising it is. This small part of the brain is what carries the internal functions of the human being. Okay, so this is the importance of hypothalamus. So next is thalamus. It consists of an egg shaped, and there is also one more major thing, of course we will discuss in the next session, but you have to remember that we are just facing one part of the brain, that is half of the brain has the capacity, and we will see one part of the brain. The other area also has the same thalamus. The half part is what is visible here. We are seeing only half part. The other part, the other side of the brain is also the same. We will have two hemispheres, and the part, the two-dimensional picture we are seeing here is one dimension, one hemisphere only. The thalamus will be, it consists an egg-shaped cluster of neurons situated on the ventral upper side of the hypothalamus. In the earlier, we have seen the hypothalamus, right? The gray area, which in the last slide we have seen it. Above the hypothalamus, like as I said, this part, the, the huge gap, this will be the hippocampus or amygdala, and this is the hippocampus, and this is the pituitary gland, which is very important. We will be discussing later on. It is like a relay station that receives all incoming sensory signals from sense organs and sends them to the appropriate parts of the cortex, that is cerebral cortex, for processing. For example, see, thalamus is a relay station. It is like a radio station. Say, for example, the eye receives the stimulus, or ear, which receives the information, and it sends to the brain, right? In the brain, particularly the thalamus area receives this information, and this is the cerebral cortex. These tube-like structures is the cerebral cortex. This cortex is further divided, but these have major areas which we'll be discussing as a separate session. Okay, so after these information is received, we will be the signals will be sent to. For example, say the ear is connected to the thalamus area. This is the eye. The ear is again related to thalamus area. The skin is connected to thalamus area. So all the signals which is received, the sensory signals, will be sent to the cortex, and then it is turned into motor signals. It also receives all outgoing motor signals. So see, that is what I said. The sensory signals are received. This works as a radio station. It is received and it is sent to the organs. This acts as a radio station in the brain. The process, like for example, say in the radio station, when the voice analog signals are converted into electrical signals or say electromagnetic signals. So this is how the thalamus acts as a relay station. The sensory signals are sent to cortex, cerebrum or cerebral cortex, and then receives the proper, processes the information. The information which is received by the sensory signals is processed in the cerebral cortex, and then the signals are further sent here. The thalamus sends these signals to the motor organs. So this is what is happening in the thalamus. This thalamus is called as a relay station, or what is said here? Yeah, relay station, and to the appropriate parts of the body. So this is very important. Each part in the brain is really important for the better understanding we are dealing in the in-depth way. Okay, so we have seen the hypothalamus and thalamus. Let us see the limbic system. The limbic system, the both amygdala and hippocampus. Amygdala and hippocampus are important for the memory. As said, the biographical memory, autonomic memory, and autobiographical memory for the day-to-day activity processing. This hippocampus is important. In the earlier also, we have dealt with this day-to-day process. So the main part which acts here is the limbic system. Of course, in some textbooks, these hypothalamus, thalamus, everything is connected as one system is called as limbic system. But here in this textbook, the two parts, amygdala and hippocampus, are termed as limbic system. The system is composed of a group of structures that form a part of old mammalian brain. It helps in the maintaining internal homeostasis by regulating body temperature, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels. It has close links with the hypothalamus. Besides hypothalamus, the limbic system comprises the hippocampus and amygdala. Yes, the limbic system is very much connected to hypothalamus. It closely works with the hypothalamus in maintaining temperature, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels. So the limbic system has the hormonal functioning is also related, will be connected in this system. The hippocampus plays an important role in long-term memory. In long-term memory, the amygdala plays an important role in emotional behavior. In the emotional behavior, say the crying, the anger, the laugh, all these behaviors will be concerned by the amygdala. And the hippocampus, it is like the main, even though it is like the short-term memory, it is the place where the memory, the uh, the information is processed first, and then in like during the rest, like earlier as we said, in sleeping, the information collected by the hippocampus is processed to the long-term memory. So this is very important process part in dealing with memory. Okay, so hippocampus is a very important part for memory, and amygdala maintains the emotional behavior. It is responsible for the emotional behavior. So by the functions of glands, we will be understanding very much in detail of these systems. But so far, how the limbic system is connected to the earlier parts, that is hypothalamus and thalamus, with their functioning. The thalamus, as it acts as a sensory and motor relay station, and hypothalamus, it is important part in regulating internal functions, that is heart rate, sleeping, temperature, all these functions. And here the limbic system, the main two parts, hippocampus and amygdala, are dependent because the emotional behavior is concerned to the thalamus, the sensory signals, motor signals. And hippocampus in the memory, like the stimulus which happened is the attention, the perception of the information, the basis of information is processed in hippocampus. As we said, every part we are discussing is collaborated with the other part, and it is the collective functioning of the brain for the behavior to be executed. Okay, this is the main importance of limbic system. And then, so next is cerebrum, the last part of the forebrain. Forebrain is the main functioning of the brain. So hindbrain we said, midbrain, and then the forebrain. In the forebrain we have seen the and thalamus, hippocampus, hypothalamus, and amygdala. So all these parts are the internal of this. All these are covered by the cerebrum, is also known as cerebral cortex. The cerebrum, also known as cerebral cortex. This part regulates all higher levels of cognitive functions. Cognitive functions in the introduction of science, that is the cognitive psychology, we have seen the attention, perception, learning, memory, language, behavior, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, creativity. There are a lot of functions, but all these functions are related to this cerebral cortex. The tube-like structure over the brain is cerebral cortex, and it is further divided into several parts, and we will cover this as a separate session. But here the major function is the cognitive function, the higher level functions. And if what you have observed is it is the most covered, that is cerebrum makes two-thirds of the total mass of the human brain. That is, yesterday we say 1000, more than 1030 grams. That is 1% of human body weight. And the oxygen consumption is brain. Of it, cerebrum is the biggest part in the brain, and it is also 1.5 mm to 4 mm thickness. So how much it will be? The thickness of the tube-like structure is 1.5 mm to 4 mm, which covers the entire surface of the brain and contains neurons and neural nets and bundles of axons. In the earlier sessions, we have seen that structure, how the neurons will be connected as a bundle and axons, how the one neuron is connected to other neuron. Is all parts is structured as this cerebral cortex. The whole cerebral cortex, it acts as a layer. How much thickness? That is 1.5 to 4 mm thickness. And how much it is? The two-thirds of the total mass. That is, the whole maximum part of the brain is covered by the cerebral cortex, that is cerebrum, and the major high level functionings are executed by this cerebral cortex. The information received, the hypothalamus or the thalamus or the limbic system, the thalamus acting as a relay station receives the information and sends to the particular organs in the cerebral cortex, and then receives the information and forwards them to the other motor functioning. Okay, this is how if you may have get the simple understanding of human brain. And what is the major part? That is the forebrain, The forebrain is this one, the midbrain. In the midbrain and the that is cerebellum, all these contains the midbrain, and medulla oblongata and spinal cord is the hindbrain. So all these constitute the brain part, that is one of the major part of the central nervous system. And we have seen of these parts, the forebrain, we have hypothalamus, thalamus, hippocampus, amygdala, and we will see further details in the coming sessions. And actually, the cerebrum has another very important functioning as said in the cognitive functions. What is happening here? That every part is controlled from here. Major actions are taken here. The problem solving, language, process, memory, the the uses, the functions itself says it is the major part of the brain. All these make it possible for us to perform organized actions and create images, symbols, associations, and memories. So how these parts, that is the axons, every part is connected with the neural connections. The 100 neurons are concentrated in the brain. So these coordinate each other and execute an action. So this is the basic understanding of forebrain, and I think this is the last slide. In the next session, we will be seeing the cerebrum, which is divided into 4 lobes, and these lobes will be discussed along with the rest of the central nervous system, that is spinal cord, in the next session. Hope you got a better understanding of cerebral cortex, that is forebrain, and the major part, that is cerebral cortex, and the relay station, thalamus, hypothalamus, hippocampus, and limbic system, that is limbic system. So we will meet in the next session. Thank you so much. Have a great day.